Hi everybody, I'm Shane Voxland from Quick Attach. Today we're going to do some mowing and we're going to show you the different capabilities of Brush Buster 60-inch mower. Today we're going to be running this on a standard flow Bobcat T450 to give a good example of what this mower can do even on a lower flow rate. This machine has about 16 gallons per minute of flow and over 3,000 PSI line pressure, so it should perform pretty well. I'm excited to see how it'll do in the long grass. We're going to be doing mowing of thistle, sweet clover, broom grass, and canary grass, and later on we'll go over and mow some heavier brush and trees, just to give you an idea of what it can do. Very impressed with the performance of this mower and the skid steer loader. I've been mowing broom grass and some ryegrass and sweet clover and a lot of heavy Canadian thistle, and I'm actually driving wide open. I have the sticks all the way forward, so this thing is really mowing great. If you come in here and look, you can see that the cut is nice and clean, it's nice and short, and it's windrowing nicely on the side here. So I'm driving full tilt, wide open, and it's mowing this good. So I'm really impressed with the quality and the performance of this mower on this skid steer loader. So let's get back to it. So we're just mowing this really thick, heavy, I guess I call it canary grass or swamp grass. It's really dense down here because it's been wet this year. I had to slow down to like 2 or 3 miles per hour, but you can see I'm cutting it really low, and it's still doing a really good job. This is super dense vegetation, but the high tip speed of these mower blades really does a good clean cut of the grass. I want to point out here that the Brush Buster has the float and tilt mounting system so that you can go over uneven terrain and keep the mower deck in contact with the ground. So here we have a large mound or a gopher mound or something. We've driven over the top of it, and you can see how the mower can twist and flex in order to keep contact with the ground. So that's really important if you want a clean cut, or if you have uneven terrain, which is really common in these kind of CRP applications, or mowing in the woods too. So it really saves a lot of wear and tear on your skid steer loader, and especially on the mower deck. If you have a rigid mower deck and you're trying to mow over uneven terrain like this, you're going to be twisting and flexing that every weld in that deck, and eventually those are going to lead to cracks. So this is a lot easier on your machine as well as the mower. So it's a really big feature that we offer on this Brush Buster. We're using a high tip speed so that it cuts grass and small brush cleaner. With a lower tip speed, those are better used for heavier applications like trees and heavy brush. But for grass, you're going to want a high tip speed so it gives a good clean cut. This grass is it's tough and it's flexible, and so it doesn't want to cut very easily unless you hit it really fast with that blade. So you got to have a high tip speed to get a good cut on this heavy grass. This stuff is really, really heavy, thick stems to it. So it's an amazing amount of vegetation mass that we're mowing here, even with this small mower. So did a really good job. I'm impressed with this Bobcat. Let's move on to some brush and trees. All right, so we started mowing out here where we got some brush and light trees. We started by mowing the grass back so we have some good visibility of what's going on here. We're pushing back this, the edge of this forest. As these popple trees grow out, they start to fill in the grassy area here in the middle. I think the landowner is probably going to make a food plot here eventually. So what we're going to do is push back the edge of this field back to the taller trees. And what you can see here is we have a lot of standing saplings, anything from 1 inch up to 3 inch. We're going to move all that back. We're going to mow that down. Some of the larger trees, a little larger saplings here, we're going to have to maybe hit them twice, knock them down, and then back up and then mulch them up with that. So this is an example of one of the saplings we cut down here. It's about a 2-inch sapling. They're maybe anywhere from 6 to 15 feet tall. And things are pretty green this year because we've had a lot of rain, so they're pretty wet. And we're mowing in July here, so it's that's when the grass is the thickest and the toughest, and the trees are probably they're pretty wet, so it's pretty tough mowing. I'm really impressed with the mower skid steer matchup here. This skid steer has really good power. It seems to stay on top of it really well. It has good torque response. And it's perfectly matched to the 60-inch mower. This mower has a low-flow version motor in it, so we're able to maintain that high tip speed even with the low flow that this machine has, which is about 16 gallons a minute. So you can see the grass that we've been mowing down has been cut quite cleanly, and even the saplings are getting cut nice here. You can see 2 notches where the blades hit this twice before it cut it off. So I'm able to keep a pretty high ground speed moving through here, anywhere from 2 to probably 6 miles an hour. I don't know how fast this is wide open, but it's not super fast. It's maybe 6 miles an hour. So we're going to get back into this tree stand here and mow some of these larger saplings and trees down. We'll start taking out trees here that are up to 3 inches in diameter. And what I like to do here is I like to use stabbing motion. So I'll drive in and back up, drive in and back up, and that gives you a chance to mulch the material 2, 3, 4 times. So you'll knock the trees down and then back up and then mulch up what you knocked over. So that's what I found my personal preference for mowing trees and saplings. So let's get back to it. just going to show you a little bit about what the trees look like that we've been mowing here. We cut off several trees here that are probably over 3 inches. This one was pretty big, but we're cutting a lot of them here that are 2 to 3, and it nips them right off, no problem. You knock them down, and then you just run over them again to mulch up the rest of the tree. You can see how it destroys the tree. We have the advantage here of new blades, so they're nice and sharp. But if you have good blades, these blades stay sharp for a long time if you stay out of the rocks, and they last a long time because they're strong and hard. So here's another example of a stump that we hit. So it's taking down these trees without any problem. This is green popple. We might have some English buckthorn here, which is a really tough bushy tree to cut down. There's some big ones right here, and we're going to also try and cut down a taller, bigger tree here, something that's not dead, but probably up to 6 inches in diameter, just to show you what you can cut down with these mowers. But I'm really impressed with the performance so far with these saplings. It's cutting really good, so let's get back to it. We've been mowing a lot of saplings here with this low flow setup. We've got the T450 and the 60-inch low flow brush mower. I am super impressed with how well it's cutting the trees down and mulching them. It just knocks them down like nothing, and then you go over them once again and it mulches them right up. So this right around here, if we wanted it mulched up more, you'd have to go over it 1 or 2 more times. But for people that are just knocking down, opening up grassland, you don't really have to spend too much time. It's all personal preference how much time you want to spend mulching. Just out of curiosity and for testing purposes, I want to try and cut down this tree. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to cut it down one way or the other. I just don't know how well it'll work. To do this, you need to have the mower. I'm going to have to bring the mower up a little higher and at a higher angle to get into it. And to do that, I have disengaged the shutoff mechanism. That's something that we do not recommend you do. The shutoff mechanism there is for your safety. But for testing purposes, I'm going to do this just to demonstrate. And we would not recommend that you cut a tree this large either. So if you come over and look at this tree, you can see that it's about a 6 inches this way and maybe 7 or 8 this way, and a lot thicker down at the bottom. I'm probably going to end up cutting it right about here. And we do not recommend you cut a tree this big, but we want to show you the robustness of the mower, how heavy it can actually stand up to. It's built heavy, the deck is heavy, the gear train is heavy, and we want to show that, demonstrate that by cutting an oversized tree. Alright, so we did our test here. We mowed down this oversized popple tree. It went way better than I thought it was going to go. So after I got into it, started cutting it, it nipped it and knocked it over. I cut it up here at about the 7-inch mark, and then I took successive cuts and mowed the stump down to a lower level just so you could see what it looked like. Yeah, I was surprised that it cut it that easily. Again, this is not something we would recommend you do with our brush mower, but just to show you how it's built, how robust the components are, I wanted to show you that. So if you zoom in here a little bit, come in a little closer, you can see, the base of this tree that I was cutting off. It's a little destroyed now, but it was probably about that big. you know, so in the vicinity of 8 to 10 inches. So, so our test here is done. We did quite a bit of mowing today. Overall, I'm super impressed with this skid steer and mower setup. The power in that skid steer is remarkable. I think it's about 60 some horsepower, and it's only pushing 16 gallons per minute. But when we match the motor to that flow rate, you can see what we can do with this mower. It's amazing with a 60-inch mower what we were doing out here. I was mowing grass wide open with the sticks all the way forward. So I was probably traveling 6 miles per hour. And even with the saplings here, I was able to travel over 3 miles per hour mowing down, you know, 1 to 2 inch saplings. So overall, I'm really happy with how this worked. Really impressed with the skid steer loader. And I would highly recommend that skid steer loader or this setup. So again, give us a call or check out our website. If you got questions, give us a call. We're happy to help.